Hey, Kevin. Kevin, can you hear me? Okay. I was just checking. Is anyone there yet? Okay. Anybody else there yet? Okay. All right. Thanks. I'll see you.
Test, test, test.
I'd like to invite all legislators into the chambers. All right, I'm going to call this meeting of the Nassau County Legislature to order. I would like to ask Legislator Bill Gaylor to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Bill?
Sure, if everybody would please hand over heart, face the flag, join me by saying I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, could you please call the roll?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Roll call. Deputy Presiding Officer Howard Coppell. Alternate Deputy Presiding Officer Denise Ford. Legislator Sheila Bino. Sheila is here. Legislator Carrie A. Salage.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Deborah Muley. Legislator C. William Gaylor III. Legislator John Giuffre.
Here.
Legislator Mazi Melissa Phillip.
Here.
Legislator Delia DeRiggi Witten. Legislator James Kennedy.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Thomas McKevitt.
Here.
Legislator Laura Schaefer. Legislator John Ferretti.
Here.
Legislator Arnold Drucker. Legislator Rosemarie Walker. Legislator Joshua Lafazan. Okay, he will attend. Legislator Stephen Rhodes. Minority Leader Kavan Abrahams. Presiding Officer Richard Nicolello. We have a quorum, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Our first order of business today is going to be a point of personal privilege by Legislator Ford. After that, we'll be having our top cop presentations and then a period for public comment. If you intend to speak and have not already submitted a slip, we would ask you to come up to the clerk's table here in front of our dais, complete a slip, and then we'll call you during public comment. But I'd like to turn things over to Legislator Ford.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer Nicolello. Good afternoon. Today I am very proud to introduce Dania Sibomana Rodriguez to all of you here. And he is here with his father, Miguel Rodriguez, coaches Palacio and Adams, as well as his grandmother, Maria Carucci, godfather John DeVivio, and godmother, Carrie Diamond. We're welcoming here today in our chambers and to all the residents of Nassau County. On Saturday, February 26, Dania captured the 102-pound title at the New York State Division I Wrestling Championship at the MVP Arena by pinning the top-seeded Ryan Ferreira. A crowd of over 5,000 celebrated Sibomania as Dania delighted them with a cartwheel and a backflip after he was declared champion. While Dania is the 17th state champion in Long Beach's impressive wrestling program, his road to this has been far different than those before him. 8 years ago, when Dania was 6 years old, he, his brother, and cousin were attacked by chimpanzees while playing in the jungle of Virunga National Park, a vast animal reserve in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It is heartbreaking that his brother and cousin were killed in that attack. Dania suffered horrific disfiguring injuries to his lips and face, which made it difficult for him to speak and swallow, as his right ear and facial muscles were gone. His middle finger on his left hand was bitten off. When he was 8, Dania came to Long Island for the first of 14 facial reconstruction surgeries. Dr. Leah Klempner, a retired Port Jefferson orthodontist, founded Smile Rescue Fund for Kids, which identifies children in recessed poor countries who need facial or cranial surgeries. Dr. Alexander Dagum, Executive Vice Chairman of Surgery at Stony Brook University Hospital, performed the surgeries without charge. His first surgery on January 11, 2016, lasted 12 hours and involved grafting tissue and muscle from his left forearm to recreate his lips. Dania lost a lot of complex tissue in the attack and has proven to be one of the more challenging cases. This foundation has provided the health care for children in other countries, and we should recognize their efforts in helping Dania in his journey. Please note that Stony Brook Hospital has covered all the costs of the surgeries, and the doctors have donated their time. Dania will have to undergo more surgeries, but he does not struggle with eating or breathing. When Dania came to America, he lived with 2 different foster families, and it was when he was signed up for the Scoodin Surf Camp in August of 2016 that his life changed. He met Miguel Rodriguez, Miguel Rodriguez, the assistant wrestling coach for Long Beach High School, who was also mentoring and coaching Isaiah Bird, a boy born with no legs. When Dania and Bird met, Dania asked him, "What happened to your legs?" To which Isaiah replied, "What happened to your face?" They were friends right at that moment. It is no wonder that both Miguel and his wife, Marissa, fell in love with this remarkable young man. When they were told they could not have children of their own, They realized that they needed Dania in their lives just as he needed them. After spending weekends with them, Dania moved in with them on July 1st, 2017, and attended summer school and began 4th grade at Lido Elementary. Dania became a U.S. citizen on October 19, 2019, and became a member of the family on February 2nd, 2022. And during the adoption process, Marissa became pregnant, and now Dania is also a big brother to Stella. Dania, from what I hear, you are not only a good student and a champion wrestler, as you are a fantastic big brother, helping to change diapers and feeding your sister. Your mom says you're a bit of a baby hog. It is amazing that you found your way to Long Beach to meet these remarkable coaches, Mr. Ray Adams, who said you were a combination of strength and explosiveness, and Mr. Palacio, who said you were so coachable. For me, I am so happy that you found Miguel, who is now your father. Your dad has inspired and helped so many young people, whether it is through wrestling or mentoring. I know it. I know because he helped my son, and I have the shirt to prove it. I do want to. Okay. I think this may be a collector's item. Your dad is so cool that he was a Grand Marshal of the Irish Day Parade a few years back. Dania, you and I have a lot in common with the love and the admiration that we share for your father, Miguel. With all that you have gone through, Dania, with all that you have gone through, as well as losing your birth parents at a young age, you never stop believing in yourself. Your perseverance to reach your goals is an inspiration to all of us. You are loved by so many, such as your teammates and fellow students, because of who you are and your positive attitude. You were even police commissioner for a day, and maybe you could become police commissioner of the Nassau County Police for a day too. We celebrate you today as you have shown us what a champion you are, both in wrestling and in life. I wish you continued happiness and success in all that you do. Please stand up and let us all celebrate Dania Rodriguez. Please, coaches and Dania, you're welcome up to the mic if you'd like to say a few things, say a few words. Come on, come up. Don't be shy. You're a state champion now.
First off, good afternoon, and Ms. Ford, thank you very much for having us. You hit it on the nose. He is one of the most humble, hardworking young men that you will ever meet. It's such a pleasure to have him on our team and part of our family. And I just can't thank you guys enough for honoring him. He's an inspiration to everybody. And just thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Legislator Ford will be joining you and for a presentation, so she's coming down now. The next presentation is the top cops for the month of March 2022, and we start off with the Nassau County PBA and our president, Tom Shevlin.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us. I just want to start off by thanking the police officers and the lieutenant behind me and all police officers for their bravery, their hard work, and their dedication, and risking their lives every day for strangers to keep all of us and our family and friends safe. Police Officer Robert Somas, Michael Serzant, and Lieutenant Daniel Delargy are going to be our legislative top cops for March 2022. On February 28th, 2022, Bureau of Special Operations officers Somos and Serzant were on patrol in the Uniondale area. Officers had read an intelligence bulletin depicting a picture of a black Dodge Charger with tinted windows and black rims. The vehicle was used in the commission of a gunpoint robbery. Around midnight, the officers observed a vehicle fitting that description. Officers conducted a license plate check, which revealed the vehicle was stolen, and the occupants were armed and dangerous. The officers attempted to pull over the vehicle. The vehicle refused to stop and crashed shortly after. As the officers exited their vehicle, the subject fired approximately 2 shots at them. One struck the hood of the police car. The officers returned fire while given numerous commands to give up. The subject refused and began to aggressively drive the damaged vehicle. BSO officers Serzant and Somas followed with the assistance of the 1st Precinct, who had arrived on the scene. The subject stopped, exited the vehicle, and attempted to fire his weapon again at the officers. He then fled on foot. A yard-to-yard search began with the assistance from BSO, the 1st Precinct, K-9, and Aviation. Lieutenant DeLargy of BSO located the subject. He then sprinted and was able to catch up to the subject, who was still armed with a handgun. Lieutenant DeLargy gave subject verbal commands to drop the weapon. He then dropped the handgun and surrendered. Lieutenant DeLargy then placed the subject into custody. The subject was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder of a police officer. He was also charged with attempted murder in Hempstead, a gunpoint robbery, and other crimes. If not for these officers' dedication and bravery, this felon would still be on the street. The PBA is proud to name police officers Robert Somas, Michael Serzant, and Lieutenant Daniel DeLargy as legislative top cops for March 2022.
So I want you to imagine you're driving along in your car, nice and calm evening. Everything's good. You got a couple bulletins in front of you that you've been looking at. Stuff that's done by our Intel Center every day. Stuff that's pushed to our cops every day. And then they pick up on this car. And then in seconds, their life could have been changed forever. That round hit right in front of Officer Savant on the angle as you're standing between the door of the car. As he got out, that round hit right there. 3-4 inches higher, it hits him. That individual only fired twice because his clip fell out of the gun. He would have dumped that entire gun at our officers. And the second time he came out, he pointed point blank at them to shoot them again. And again, it did not fire because the clip had fallen out. I watched the body cam video, and I watched it from the beginning. The professionalism by first the 2 officers that did the car stop is off the charts. And you watch how detailed they were, how they went back to get their vest, their tactical vest over the other vest. Then they went to get their long gun. Then they talked about shutting the siren down because maybe he doesn't hear us. And then they're giving the instructions exactly how we are trained in the academy. Police, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. And then the other officer said, maybe he can't hear us over the siren. They turn the siren down. Then he takes off again as the front wheel of his car is hanging off. And he screeches down the street. He steps out of the car again. He turns at them again, pulls the trigger. It doesn't go off. Then he runs into the back streets behind the houses, and now other officers engage. Meanwhile, the calm composure of the first that have just been shot at are given a very detailed description of who the individual is. And then they go into this backyard, and the individual puts the gun to his head. He wants suicide by cop. They did not engage. They backed up. They gave instructions, put the gun down. They went into a hostage-like barricade-type mode, again, after being shot at by the same individual. He jumps over the fence and he goes again, and then Officer DeLargy engages with him and arrests him. 17 to 16 body camera videos of the entire event. Everybody was professional. Everybody did a great job. That goes back to everything we get from all of you. Those training days, those days to go and buy the right equipment, to buy the proper equipment, to go out and give them the right vehicles, the tactical vest. All of that went to use that night, and because of that, that individual was arrested without incident, and our two very brave officers, along with the lieutenant, are here today to talk to you because they had all of that training that went into place. So again, I thank all of you for that, and I thank them and congratulate them.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for having us. I'm Lieutenant Dan DeLargy. I was a supervisor that night. I just wanted us to say that Officer Somas and Searzon really embody everything you could possibly hope for in an officer. Just from their initiative, using that intel-led policing to identify the defendant, just their courage and calmness under fire, you really couldn't ask for more. These guys were communicating amongst themselves and over the radio, using their tactics throughout the whole entire scene. And just their tenacity, you couldn't ask for more. Just continuing to go after a guy that they knew who just shot at them, going yard to yard. Just so proud of these guys, and also just of the first precinct coming there in droves to support us. ESU, K9, the DD, everything was just from the beginning to end was just so well done. So thank you all very much.
Legislator Ferretti, then Minority Leader Abrams. I'm sorry.
Police Officer Robert Somas, Bureau of Special Operations. My partner and I would just like to say thank you to the entire legislative body and the PBA and the Police Commissioner for having us up here. Thank you.
Thank you, Presiding Officer, and I want to thank our three officers here today, Officer Somas, Officer Searzon, and Lieutenant DeLargy, for everything you do every single day. But obviously, we're here to honor you for this incredible act of bravery that you three had on that night. I mean, we're reminded with stories like this of what kind of danger you're in on a daily basis, and to act in such a professional manner the way that our commissioner has described. It's not surprising because that's the way that our officers are here in Nassau County. But we do want to recognize that and congratulate you. And it's while we're here to congratulate the three of you specifically, well deserved. This is really a testament to our entire police force. And you know, when Tommy Shevlin was saying the story as to what happened, he mentioned there was a prior burglary. That burglary was an armed burglary in Levittown. And you know, when it happened that night, I spoke to Commissioner Ryder, and he said, "We're going to get him." And I trusted him. I knew we'd get him because we have such an incredible force, such incredible leadership from Commissioner Ryder. It's just amazing, though, the way that he was apprehended came from that video. So there was a video of that escape car from the burglary in Levittown, a camera shot from a house, and it just showed a very, very small portion of the taillight. And that was what triggered, that taillight was what triggered you guys looking into it. So this is just a testament to our entire Nassau County Police force working in unison, from Commissioner Ryder down to our, every last officer. We got our guy, and it's because of you. God bless each and every one of you. Stay safe, and thank you for what you do.
Minority Leader Abrams.
Thank you, Presiding Officer, and I get to share this recognition with Legislator Ferretti. Just to tell you a depiction of what I saw on that particular morning of, I immediately text the commissioner like my office always does. Whenever there's an incident that occurs and we're looking for more information, the commissioner has been very kind to share some of the details with us. But when I saw the incident had occurred on Nassau Road and I saw bullet holes in the car, I became immediately concerned. I think all of us in this room, we share some freedoms that Nassau County officers provide to us. While this incident was going on, many of us may have been home eating our dinner, possibly binge watching Netflix or whatever may be the case, while these guys are out there in the middle of the night trying to protect us and take somebody, an armed, dangerous person off the street. But as I was watching the coverage that morning, and I remember it vividly, I was watching WPIX. I don't know why, I never watched WPIX. But I was watching WPIX that morning, and they were showcasing the incident as it was portraying out. I immediately wanted to know if anybody was hurt or injured. These officers exemplified extreme professionalism, And the one thing, when I saw the story come out the next day, I texted the commissioner to let him know that I thought their professionalism was extraordinary, and I actually thought and hoped that they would be here for our top cop ceremony, so I can physically shake their hand. The people of the First District applaud your efforts and your heroic demonstration of putting yourself before anyone else. I'm sorry, putting the community before anyone else. And I truly appreciate that. It does not go unnoticed. I think your actions, being able to, when being fired upon, I don't think anyone up here on this dais in this room, if was fired upon, would have exhibited the same level of restraint that you did. And I think that goes to a testament to what the commissioner has said in terms of your professionalism as well as your training. It speaks volumes. But obviously, it's a testament of our entire department. We should not just be proud of your efforts, but be proud of all of our Nassau County officers today. But I want to thank you on behalf of the residents that many of them I've spoken to since this incident, and thank you for your heroic actions on that particular day. I know it could not have been easy, and I just want to thank you again on behalf of the residents of District 1. Thank you.
Alrighty, we will be making a presentation right after we do the next presentation, but I would appreciate it if you would wait by the side, and we'll call you up. So the next presentation is by the police medics, Chris Callender, who is the president of the police medics unit of the CSCA Local 830.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having us today. On the morning of Sunday, July 11th, Ambulance 2397 with Police Medic Revogel was dispatched to the bike path at Jones Beach for a male who was not breathing and turning blue. New York State Parks Police Officer Fisher arrived first on scene to find an unconscious male who was in fact blue, who was not breathing. He immediately applied his AED, which instructed everyone to stay clear so he can deliver shocks. Police Officer Fisher did exactly that. He delivered the shocks to his patient. Immediately at that time, Police Medic Kevin Revogel arrived on scene and ran into the back of his ambulance to retrieve his equipment. Here's a twist. While in the rear of the ambulance, the back doors were suddenly opened by a man in a bandana and bike gear asking Police Medic Revogel what assistance he needed. Police Medic Revogel thanked him for helping. He's got it all under control. The bystander again said, "Please, let me help you." Police Medic Revogel took a look. Commissioner Ryder. He was riding on the bike path, saw what was going on, hopped off his bike, and wanted to help Police Medic Revogel. From then on, everything just went exactly how it should have. Police Medic Brandon Leonard arrived to back them up. With the assistance of Commissioner Ryder, Police Officer Fisher, the two medics, our aide was placed in the back of the ambulance. We hooked up our CPR machine, we intubated him, we started an IV and delivered our life-saving drugs. It's because of all that that today I can introduce you to Mr. Pador.
I'm sorry, my husband is shy, so I'm going to speak in behalf of the whole family. I want to thank these brave officers for saving my husband. Our story as a family continues because of him. I think about you guys when having dinner together, or we're going to church as a family, or when my husband, the joy in my husband's face when my son surprised him that he got into grad school. So I think about you, Thank you for saving him. Our story continues as a family because you guys were there. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
In behalf of my family, I thank everybody who surrounds me right now for saving my life. Thank you very much again.
On behalf of myself and my partner Kevin and State Park Police Officer Fisher and Commissioner Ryder and all the other public that was there to assist us that day as well, thank you. We are humbled to be here. We are very honored to have our guest of honor join us, and thank you for making this a storybook ending.
Commissioner, you want to say?
So, I'm riding along the bike path that morning. I see him go down, and the civilians that jumped in. State police shows up first. They jump in. The medics get there. I jump in to help them get the board out of the back, and watching the CPR being done and everything else on this individual. That I got to tell you, I didn't think it was going to end this as a storybook, but that's because of their professionalism. That's because of their training. That's because of their equipment. Again, all of you make that happen. So when we stand here and we ask for these things, now you see what it does. It gives us the opportunity to welcome somebody here at our ledge and to also congratulate him that he's still with us and tell him how important it is for it. So again, outstanding work by these three gentlemen and the community that jumped in to make sure that he is with us today. For the record, I did finish my ride.
Legislator Rhodes.
I think it was Ronald Reagan that once said that those who say that there are no heroes today just don't know where to look. And one of the reasons that I love these presentations is it gives us a chance to show all of Nassau County our heroes. You are our heroes. We all have the comfort, to dovetail off of Minority Leader Abraham's point, we all have the luxury of living under the umbrella of protection that you provide to each and every one of us, which oftentimes we take for granted. And this is a wonderful opportunity for us simply to be able to say thank you. Your heroism, your professionalism, your sense of duty to all of us is something that is a debt that we can never repay. And I have the luxury of knowing Medic Brandon Leonard through my time in the Montauk Fire Department, and it does not surprise me at all that you're here. And as I recall, this is not the first time that you're here. But it's something that all of you exhibit. We can have, and I appreciate Commissioner Ryder trying to give us credit for the training and for the equipment and all that stuff. We can provide the best training. We can provide the best equipment. All of our officers, all of our medics undergo constant evaluation. But the one thing that you can never evaluate until the moment comes is what's in your heart, right? In that moment, will you be able to do the right thing at the right time in the hopes of being able to save a life? You did that. And Mr. Pador is here today because of you. And so for the remainder of your career, I don't know that you'll ever have the opportunity, and hopefully there'll be many more lives saved, to do anything more important than to help save the life of a member of our Nassau County family. And on behalf of all of us, I want to say congratulations and thank you for the amazing work that you and the many people that you represent here today, who are members of our police medics, who are members of our State Park Police, who are members of our Nassau County Police Department, do every single day for all of us. God bless you, and God bless you, Mr. Pador. We're so happy that you can be here with us today to share in this moment. And Commissioner Ryder, telephone booths are hard to find nowadays. So I don't know how it is that our own Superman always manages to pop up in the right place at the right time. But Commissioner, the same goes for you, if not more. Your dedication, your passion, and your love for the people of Nassau County is something that you see every day in the work that you do. And I didn't want today to go by without us saying thank you to you as well for everything you do for the people of Nassau County.
righty, thank you. Do the gentlemen want to join us for a presentation? No. All right, we now have some public comments, and first speaker will be Richard Clolery.
Can you hear me? Thank you. To the members of the legislature, as you may be aware, because of the war in the Ukraine, gas prices have been going up. This is affecting everyone, not just those that support you, but other people as well. For example, as you're aware, because of the poor funding of the buses, I am somewhat dependent on Uber when it rains or snows. Because of what is going on in Ukraine, rising gas prices will make it impossible for some Uber drivers to continue in spite of the efforts by Uber to help out their drivers. This will eventually make it hard for people like me to use them and make it hard for people to live in this benevolent county. There are only two solutions to this problem, which probably won't be to your liking. One is setting up EV charging stations all over the county. That way people with electric vehicles can charge up while they shop or do whatever they need to do. The other is complete funding of the NICE bus system, so that way they can restore the bus lines that were cut years ago, like the M50 bus line that's next to where I live. One other thing, and I will go. NICE used to host the TAC, or Transit Advisory Committee meetings, so that they can complain about the lack of funding you guys give them. Because of the pandemic, they switched to virtual meetings. However, they do not advertise when these meetings are. I only learned of their meetings through word of mouth, which makes it impossible to attend until after the fact. Please, I need you, the legislature, to tell me when these meetings are way beforehand, so I can attend and relay what they have to say to you. Please let me know at blackstar11801@gmail.com. Thank you and have a good day. Any questions?
Oh, thank you, Richard. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
No question? Good.
Kevin McKenna.
Good afternoon, legislative body. My name is Kevin McKenna. I live in Syosset. I spoke to you in November 2021 about the massive $122 million no-bid contract that was awarded to Motorola in December of 2020. What I didn't know then was that only 7 legislators voted for it, not a majority of the legislature, with the help of a false statement by NYFA Executive Director Evan Cohen. But I have since learned that after it passed the Rules Committee, it was then supposed to go before all 19 legislators. Did you all know that it was supposed to go before 19 legislators? It states that right on the Nassau County legislative website. You might want to find that out. It states that right on the website. Did you know that? The taxpayers deserve to know why and how this happened. One can now argue that the award of this no-bid contract was passed illegally. Mr. Nicolello, you are the chairperson, I believe, of the Rules Committee. Maybe when I finish my speech, you could tell us why you did not bring this $122 million contract before the full legislature. Legislative Clerk Christopher Lamone emailed me that only the Rules Committee voted on this contract. How can the legislature turn an open bid contract into a no bid contract? That's easy. They used the NYFA loophole. If NYFA proclaims that a company is the only entity qualified, which they did falsely, to provide the services, whether it's true or not, then a no-bid contract is allowed. NYFA General Counsel Jeremy Wise emailed me that NYFA Executive Director Evan Cohen stated, drum roll please, Motorola is the only entity qualified to provide the services, and NYFA's 5 directors voted unanimously to approve this $122 million contract. But wait, Motorola is not the only entity. Motorola's chief competitor, L3 Harris, wanted to bid. I have that in writing. If Nassau County never solicited bid proposals, how can NYFA Executive Director Evan Cohen know if Motorola was the only entity? Last week I provided you with a copy of what I'm going to skip over right now, so I'm going to get right to the end because I only have 20 seconds left. NYFA is an embarrassment. If the Nassau County Legislature can only perform its duties under the watch of NYFA, whose directors say on video, I don't think we voted on that contract that size, even though he did, and it was only 14 months ago, then the Nassau County legislators, you all, should be term limited. Mr. Nicolello, I ask you to correct me if I'm wrong. Why did the Rules Committee not bring this before the full legislature, as it states on the Nassau County website, was supposed to happen?
All contracts, whether they be 5,000 or 100 million, go to the Rules Committee, and the Rules Committee alone votes on those contracts. So we followed the procedure of the legislature that has existed for the legislature's entire existence. So
but it states on the website that the Rules Committee, after it's passed on the Rules Committee, it's then supposed to go to all 19 legislators. Why didn't it?
So you're misunderstanding with the rules of the legislature. Again, all contracts...
I'm not misunderstanding. It's very clear.
All contracts go to the Rules Committee. All other items, supplemental appropriations, local laws, will go through committees, then go to the full legislature. But this is a contract. They do not go to the full legislature. So
why wouldn't a $122 million contract, why wouldn't all the legislators think that they should vote on that?
All right. Thank you, sir. Your time is up. I appreciate it. I answered your question, and now we're going on to the next speaker, which is Pearl Jacobs from Uniondale.
You'll be hearing more about this, trust me.
Good afternoon. I'm going to have to spray the mic because I have a 101-year-old grandmother that I care about. COVID is still here. It's not going.
There's also there should be wipes up there, too, if you want
I
to.
don't touch it.
Okay.
I spray it because I have to take my mask off to speak. Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. And let me start by saying that Governor Hochul's proposal to legalize ADUs on the properties of single-family homes was not a good idea, and I signed the Town of Hempstead's petition in opposition of this plan that would most certainly deteriorate the quality of life for my fellow Long Islanders that reside outside of majority-minority communities. Our Nassau County legislators in entirety took a hard stand on this proposal and agreed that the legalization of ADUs would destroy Long Island's suburban way of life, and I definitely agree. I am pleased that my fellow Long Islanders that do not reside in majority-minority communities have been spared of watching their community's quality of life spiral downwards. Residents that reside in Long Island's majority-minority communities are all too familiar with the degradation of their quality of life that is directly attributed to 12 to 15 people living in single-family homes, disappropriation number of shelter homes in our community, and hostile houses resulting in excessive trash, sanitation violations, traffic, parking issue, excessive strain on our first responders, and overcrowding of our schools. I did speak previously before the Town of Hempstead in greater detail concerning this issue. My question is as follows. Since collectively the Town of Hempstead and the county both agreed that all Long Island residents deserve a good suburban quality of life, what collective action plan is the county and the town going to implement to begin to restore the quality of life for majority-minority residents whose quality of life has already been destroyed? That's the question. Or maybe you can get back to me on that. But can you stop the clock? I had a question, and you didn't stop the clock.
You can speak a little bit over. Well, we'll give you a couple extra seconds, yeah.
So I'm just imploring here that I'm in total agreement with the, ADUs not being implemented in Long Island. It destroys our suburban quality of life. Unfortunately, communities in majority minority communities, that would be mostly Legislator Abrahams and Legislator Bino's, Legislative Szilagyi communities have already been destroyed.
Emulates.
And I would just like to know, that's a question I would like an answer from, maybe not now, but you can get back to me on collectively what is the town and the county going to do together to help restore or begin to restore quality of life for these communities.
So I think my office, and I think I speak on behalf of legislators Bino and Szilagyi, as well as everyone in the legislature, we're prepared to do whatever. The direction has to start with the town, and from that standpoint, not just the town of Hempstead, where Uniondale and some of the majority communities are, but as well as in Westbury, where Legislator Bino is a representative with the town of North Hempstead, as well as all our towns, Oyster Bay, so on and so forth. So we're prepared to work with them. We do realize that there is a part that the county plays, a role that we play, and we're prepared to work with them. I'll be happy to be a participant in any meeting that Supervisor Clavin has in regards to Legislative District 1, and I'll be happy if you're there in attendance, as well as any of the other Civic Association presidents are there as well.
Thank you, Legislator Abrahams, and I would definitely send an email out to Supervisor Clavin. I had spoken with him regarding this before. I will copy you in, and if Legislator Bino and Szilagyi want to be a part of that also, to sort of to get together and have a forum on this most terrible quality of life issue. Also, I would ask you, Legislator Abrahams, to please have Uniondale Avenue swept more frequently. It's not being swept by the county. It really isn't. It's being swept by the town when it does, and that's not fair. I mean, I'm not a fan of the town because they give me a lot of adjective, but when they're right, they're right. Okay, it's not being swept by the county, and it's a county road. And before I go, I do have an issue. I just want to read this real quick, Legislator Abrahams. I'm just asking, is there any oversight regarding roadway projects in Nassau County? Jerusalem Avenue roadway project was done in November. Roadway lane lines and markings, they have faded to the point now where they are barely visible. We're talking about 3 months.
The markings that were just placed
they
in
were
3 months are
they
fading
were
already?
put haphazardly. It wasn't put. They weren't. The lines were not drawn or put in the right way. It was an inferior job. I thought it was just me, but other people were calling me and saying these lines are not put properly. Now you're talking about it was done in November. It's now March.
March.
So we're talking about 4 months. They are faded. There were streaks all over Jerusalem Avenue. Maybe somebody was being a smart behind, or maybe, they just did a haphazard job. Either way, it's wrong, okay? And another issue, school zone safety markings were not placed on the roadways in proximity of Turtle Hook Junior High School. And I did notice in other communities where roadways were just done that school zone safety markings were placed in front of the schools, okay? 20 miles per hour, school zone. None of that was done in Uniondale in this roadway project. So I do want to bring that to your attention. I hope it is rectified. It's becoming a safety issue now because people can barely see the markings on Jerusalem Avenue. I don't know where the oversight was. There should have been oversight on these sorts of projects. Millions and millions of dollars. There should have been oversight.
We'll look into it.
I appreciate that.
The markings as well as the school safety markings. You're talking about the markings that are on the road that indicate the appropriate speed limit, right?
No, I'm speaking of. You mean in the school? At the school?
The schools, I'm talking
about.
Yes,
you go into other roadways and the roadways
exactly
that were just done 20 miles per hour, school zone. That was not done in front of Turtle Hook.
Okay.
The signs, the electronic signs on Jerusalem Avenue, which is a speedway, they're not working. I'm sure the superintendent has been in touch. I know the board They told me they have been in touch with the county, and those school electronic signs should be working for the students if they're not.
Okay, Ms. Jacobs, maybe with these issues you can get in
I know,
contact
I
with the
got you.
legislator.
I'm leaving now.
Okay.
And one last thing, I would say let's continue to pray for the people of Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Elijah Ara.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for letting me speak today. I have spoken to my representative, Mr. Tom McKevitt, about this issue. I recently moved to Nassau County with my family. We live in Merrick. We bought a house, got away from the city. The move was challenging for us, and we budgeted very carefully. I am a veteran of the military, and I have a disability rating that qualified me for specific exemptions because of the state laws that were, I appreciate, enacted at the county level here. I was disappointed to find out when I applied for those exemptions that there is a 2-year processing time. Apparently I missed the cutoff by just days for processing this year, which then goes into effect in 2024 now. So I have been discussing with Mr. McKevitt, but I wanted to put this on everyone's radar that this is an issue for me. It's a material issue for me. It's an issue that has caused financial hardship to the point where just 3 months after moving here, me and my wife have had serious discussions about putting our house back on the market and leaving. I know that these benefits were intended to help people like me and families like mine, and they also help elderly populations, and they're designed to help a lot of people. But the excessive processing time came as quite a shock to me. I went to the assessor's office. I spoke to 4 different staff there, as well as the manager, Bob, who all were very professional, very kind, and very frustrated that there wasn't more that they could do. Speaking to Mr. McKevitt, I understand a lot of this stems from state-based issues. I'm not familiar with what exactly can be done on the county level, whether that's making the state representatives aware of this issue, but it certainly is affecting constituents in the entire county here. That's all that I had to ask about today. So anything that you all can do either on the county or the state level would be very much appreciated by me and my family, and I'm certain others.
Yes, Mr. R., we've had numerous conversations. I'm glad we had a chance to finally meet in person about this today. And first of all, I want to thank you to your service to our country and for all your sacrifice in that regard. It is very frustrating that you have to apply for such a long period of time beforehand in order to get those various exemptions which you're entitled to. And again, fortunately in your situation, again, you just missed it by a matter of days for the upcoming year in this instance. But again, it's unfair that you should have to wait almost 2 years to get benefits you're entitled to. So as I spoke to you beforehand, I will work with you with our state representatives, because the issue is the New York State real property tax law sets that deadline when you have to apply for it. But I think in situations such as yourself, I'd certainly like to explore with them maybe some exemptions to that policy so you can get the property tax relief you deserve for the sacrifice you've made.
I really appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Arad. That's the last slip that I have, so we will go into the business of the legislature. Mike, let's do the emergencies. Each one of these, I think, is identical, so I think you just need to maybe read the numbers in the item once.
Okay. Emergency resolution, clerk, items 73 through 7322, 7822. There are, I think, 6 or 7, so pretty much the exact same. So I'll read one, presiding officer.
Yes.
An emergency resolution declaring an emergency for immediate action upon. A resolution to authorize the county assessor and/or the county treasurer and/or the receiver of taxes of the city of Long Beach to partially exempt certain real estate property situated in various school districts, assessed to designate owners appearing on the assessment roll for the Pacific School and other county years pursuant to this resolution, pursuant to the real property tax law, the county government law of Nassau County, and the Nassau County Administrative Code, clerk item 7322, and they run from 7322 to 7328. Thank you.
I guess the specific items are 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 2022. Motion to establish the emergency by Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell, seconded by Minority Leader Abrahams. Any debate or discussion on the emergency?
No.
No. All in favor of the emergency signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The emergencies are established. Now I'm going to call the items for a vote: 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 2022. As just read, resolutions to authorize the county assessor and/or treasurer and/or receiver of taxes of the city of Long Beach, Oyster Bay, Hempstead, to partially exempt certain real properties situated in various school districts assessed to designated owners appearing on the assessment rolls for the specified school and/or county years pursuant to this resolution, pursuant to the real property tax law, county government law of Nassau County, and the Nassau County Administrative Code. Moved by Legislator Ford, seconded by Legislator DeRiggi Whitten. So those items before us, these are corrections of errors petitions. Any debate or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously. Go to the regular calendar. We have a consent calendar which consists of items that went through committees a couple of weeks ago. It's been agreed by the majority minority that no further debate or discussion is needed on these items at this time, and that they can go to a vote. Item 1, Ordinance 13. Item 2, Ordinance 14. Item 3, Ordinance 15. Item 4, Ordinance 16. Item 5, Ordinance 17. Item 6, Ordinance 18. Item 8, Ordinance 20. Item 9, Ordinance 21. Item 10, Ordinance 22. Item 11, Resolution 34. Item 13, Resolution 36. Item 15, Resolution 38. Item 16, Resolution 39. Motion by Legislator Bino, seconded by Legislator Walker. So all these are before us. Any further debate or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, they all carry unanimously. Item 7, Ordinance 19 is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Office of Housing. Moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator Phillip. Okay, now this is before us. Legislator Bino.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I have a couple of questions. I'm not sure who from the administration will be able to respond.
Good afternoon, everyone. Kenitha Pettis, Director of Housing, Office of Section 8.
Soy la fiscal analyst of Section 8.
Thank you. So this item is for the purpose of, it appears that it's an item regarding the administration of the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. Specifically here it references Hempstead, the Town of Hempstead program. And it goes from the period of April 1st, 2022 through March 31st of 2023. So my question is that I've learned, and I'm sure many of us up here have been in some way advised, that the county, in fact, was not selected by the state for the continuation of administering the HCV program.
That's correct.
Okay. Is the Hempstead, Town of Hempstead program being administered separately from the Town of Hempstead?
No, it's all together.
It's all together.
It was absorbed just like in the past we absorbed Farmingdale and Island Park. The same thing, we absorbed the Town of Hempstead, and these vouchers are, as you know, the property of New York State HCR. So the vouchers were all, counted together.
Okay.
The Town of Hempstead. So it's
Okay.
not a separate.
So it's not a
program.
sub.
It's not a sub
component.
or a separate program.
Got
No,
it.
it's not.
Okay, so the entire program is slated now under this, I guess, based on the fact that CDC of LI was selected. When are we administering this program through what period of time?
Until April 30th, 2022. But as Chris could come and speak as on behalf of the county executive office, we are in the process of protesting the RFP at this time.
The RFP decision?
Decision, yes.
Okay.
We're waiting to hear back from the state.
Okay, so it's an appeal of some
It's an
sort?
appeal, yes.
Okay. And was there a reason given when they notified you that the county would no longer be administering this program?
No, there was no reason. We just received a non-award letter on March 10th.
On March 10th. And so, and I'm sorry, you said it's April 30th? That's the transition period?
That's what they told us, yes.
Wow.
And
Okay,
we haven't had a meeting with the transition team or with the state, as Mr. Walsh is waiting to hear back from the commissioner at HCR.
Okay, so I heard about this through someone who then had angst that meant that individuals would lose their voucher. I knew that that was not the case and was able to reassure them that's not the case, but I think I want to ask the question for the purpose of it being on the record. There are no direct, are there any direct impacts to someone's subsidy by way of this program no longer being administered by the county, meaning dollar for dollar, roof for roof?
No one will be evicted. The program will, I'm not sure what will happen after April 30th. CDC must have an office in Nassau County to accommodate the participants on the program. So landlords will continue to get paid and people will not lose their voucher.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
So you understand that as part of your submission or your response to the RFP that you were required to have an office space in Nassau County?
Nassau County, yes.
Okay. So I have tons and tons of questions regarding, the transition, the reason, and all of those things. But I understand that you said you foiled to get the reason?
Yes.
When was that FOIL submitted to the state?
Mr. Errol Williams, the attorney who helped us from the county attorney's office, was part of the process requesting the FOIL, and Chris Lamone is here from Mr. Walsh's office to also answer any legal questions.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Errol Williams, County Attorney's Office. I submitted a FOIL request Friday when we got the notice, and I submitted the second one on Monday. I have received some information from the state, but not all that I have requested. I did not get answers to everything I requested, and I still anticipate that I will sometime in the near future.
Okay, before I start to ask you any questions about what you received, I would like to know if you could state on the record, what is the appeal process? Is there a timeline associated with it? Or there information that you were required to provide to the state for the purpose of the appeal?
There is some conflict in the timeline, at which I will clarify when I get back to my desk, but the state's bid protest policy says that in this case, the county has 10 business days from the time it receives information, or should have received it, or should have known the information upon which its protest is based. I interpret that to say that I will have 10 business days from the time I receive a complete response to my FOIL.
Complete response to your FOIL. So they will have 10 business days to make a determination? Is that what that is?
I will have 10
days to respond.
To respond.
And do they subscribe a time, do they prescribe a time period for which then they will respond to us? Because this leaves us in limbo, right?
But part of what I will request in my formal protest is that until the matter is resolved, that the county continues to act as local administrator.
Of the program?
Of the program.
Okay. So are you prepared, and can you share with us what you have requested specifically?
I can't off the top of my head. I'm asking for who was on the committee, for example, among other things. I'm asking for who was on the committee that determined that scored the proposals. I'm asking for the score sheets, minutes, meetings, policy manuals. It's a fairly broad request.
Okay. And what have you received to this point?
I received the scores that, from the scoring sheet for both CDCLI and for the county. I received the I'm sorry, what that is. Is that the CMAP audit scores? And that's something that's technical, and Kenitha knows that I do that.
Mm-hmm. So you got the CMAP scores for CDC under the last period of time, and then for Nassau County, how they scored based on CMAP?
Yes.
Okay. And you got the scoring of the RFPs as well, the score sheets for that?
That is correct.
Based on your review of those documents, can you determine where CDC scored higher than us?
From the documents submitted, it's fair to say that it would be a difficult challenge to challenge the determination. But there's still there's still other outstanding documents that I have not yet received.
Based on the scoring sheet?
Just the scoring sheet. Yes, CDC, I believe the county was scored at 6 to 7, and CDC scored at 7 to 7.
Say that again for me, I apologize.
And this is from memory, but I believe on the scoring sheet, the county scored at 6 to 7, and CDC came in at a 7 to 7.
In the areas that we lost points? The areas that we...
It just breaks up. And I don't have the scoring sheets in front of me, but I think it's just a total, and I can't tell you what areas we lost points on. But, like I said, I have not received a complete response to everything that I've requested.
Do we know, aside from the CMAP, like, were there considerations in terms of that were more subjective than based on, you know, evidence-based scoring mechanisms?
My argument may be that it's subjective, but it's a difficult argument to make without seeing the entire response to my FOIL request.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that the 10 days that you'll have to review the documentation coming in from the state is enough time for you to put together an appeal, although it might be somewhat difficult based on
I think once I get all the information and I sit down with the people who will know what they're looking at, being in Kenitha, I think 10 days is sufficient time. But once again, the policy says 10 days from the receipt of the information, so 10 business days. So from when the information is received upon which the protest is based.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
and they're communicating with you primarily electronically, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So while there's not going to be a direct impact to the subsidies that the participants are receiving, there undoubtedly will be an impact to those residents, right? Especially if they decide to move the location from where it's currently seated to a place that is not easy to access by, you know, transportation, and aside from the fact that this looks like a really tight time frame to transition a program of this size to CDC of Long Island. So Ms. Pettis said for the record that the state hadn't talked to you at all about transition. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
We have we're left at a period with being notified, now requesting information. You're going to, in your appeal request that you'll do within the 10-day period after receiving everything, ask for an opportunity to delay that transition in the event that there is no change of mind or change of heart on this. I would sure hope they would grant that, because I think, you know, they're setting us up for failure to be able to successfully be able to transition this program in the event that we're not successful in maintaining it. I hope, along with some of your documentation and your response to the state, that we can in some way memorialize, the importance of the county being able to maintain, the administration of this program. That, having administered a program, a similar program, much smaller program than what the county administers, there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, there are so many different documents that have to have changes, amendments made to it, that in itself, that could take a 60 to 90-day period to do it correctly. And so I'm really hopeful that we will memorialize that, the importance that whatever office space that's determined, would be suitable by CDC of Long Island. To me, unless they're going right back into the same space, it can't compare to what we, the county, have been able to provide to our residents. It's near trains, the buses, every highway. There is so many benefits to us maintaining this program that I could sit here for probably about an hour in dialogue and be able to bubble those things up, right? I hope that, we're able to put that clearly, concisely, give that to the state. Is that your intention to do that?
Well,
or does it allow for that, can I say?
I don't think it allows for that. And in fact, the last communication from the state was more in sum and substance. We made the right decisions. We hope you won't protest it. Let's move forward with the transition and get it done. So there's that attitude that I'm encountering.
That's what you're encountering?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I want to hope for the best and start to prepare for the worst, because it's the families that will be impacted, the landlords who have suffered through a period of the pandemic where, there was, challenges, right? Folks had to be recertified, they were waiting for rent, all those things, but you guys did a great job. I've spoken to many of the landlords who felt that the adjustments to recertification and them being able to get their rent timely, they fully understood the benefit of participating in that type of program, because other landlords who weren't receiving subsidies are still waiting for rent. So I think you guys did a yeoman's job doing that. But I am concerned that if we don't start at least thinking about what we need to do internally, God forbid we do have to move this through a transition, that we may in some way, in a very negative way, impact our landlords and our participants. So has there been any communication from CDC of LI, who's been designated the awardee?
No, to date, I have not heard from CDC LI.
And and the state has not given you any documentations at all, or any instructions on communicating?
Well, there was an email from Sylvia Mercado from HCR, New York State HCR, who wanted to set up a transition phone call. However, Mr. Walsh intercepted and called the state and said that we need to have a conversation before anything is, transitioned. So that put it on hold. So other than that, I have not heard from them. But that was HCR were going to be involved in the transition with CDC. I did not hear directly from CDC. I heard from HCR, who had both Gwen O'Shea and myself on the email.
Okay.
But I had to just add that somehow things are leaking out in the community as well. I'm receiving a lot of calls from landlords and participants concerned about the program. I mean, they have questions. I don't think CDC sent out any correspondence because we have the list. They don't have the information. So people are concerned. We have a 24-hour drop box outside of 40 Main Street, accessible for the participants to drop off their, the documents and things like that. But the phones have been blown up. Concerned landlords, concerned participants who have been on this program with Nassau County for almost 30 years. So I'm sure that your telephones will be blowing up from your constituents as well, because we're receiving the calls today.
I received directly, but I would say that we need to look to the state for guidance on how you can respond to residents that are asking questions and landlords that are asking questions during this period of appeal, so that we can, soothe the angst of those that are, you know, impacted parties. I think we're left in a space where we're kind of handicapped to be able to explain exactly what the next steps could possibly be, and that's concerning.
We have no further information as to where. I do know that currently CDC operates on an appointment base only. So the size of this program, I don't know how that will, affect the Nassau County participants on this program.
They operate very differently.
Yes.
Than how you
and
operate.
They are located in Middle Island.
Yeah, well, they'll have
Suffolk
to do
County.
something in Suffolk, but
right, and they would have to have a sizable space, because the space that we have to service the Nassau County participants is a pretty, I think we're over 10,000 square feet or something. But that's county space, so I'm not sure where they would find a space that would be, conducive to transportation and so on.
I mean, there's so many. How would they even staff an office in that period of time?
Well, can I just add that you would know, Legislator Bino, that the housing specialists are certified by NAMCA.
Yes.
So in order to be a housing specialist, you have to take a week's training, and then we take a 6-hour test to become certified. Even the housing inspectors are certified. So to be up and running May 1st, I'm not sure how that's going to happen and where they will pull housing specialists, certified specialists from.
And also family self-sufficiency. Everybody has to be certified and trained.
The only people who are not certified are the clerical staff.
That's right.
But everyone else who touch any, and then information, it's everyone's personal information, bank statements, Social Security, pay stubs, everything we have. So everybody's not privy to go into the system. So I don't know how they were trained in that short time, unless they knew in advance. I don't know.
And then all the other resources that are required, vehicles for the inspectors,
That's right.
all of those things. I just can't see how anything like
That's
this
correct.
could transition in this time.
That's correct.
In this time frame, it's just.
So there's over 3,000 housing choice vouchers. Plus, we have a wait list of over 7,000 on a wait list. So
we already started authoring a letter to the state to identify some of our concerns and to communicate with them, our disappointment in, their decision. But one of the things that we do have to be, steadfast with, I believe, is having, an appropriate, everything has to be done in decency and order.
Yes.
And if this is going to happen, then we need to do this, and we need to do it in a fashion that would be seamless to those who desperately need the assistance of this program. And to this point, I don't feel like there's been enough communication. I'm concerned. I'm concerned that that we may not be successful based on the testimony of our attorney, Errol Williams, and I'm afraid that we might end up in a situation that the trigger has to be pulled, and we're not going to be in a position to handle this appropriately. So we already started a letter to the state in support of the appeal. Our letter might meet them before your actual appeal, so maybe we'll soften hearts and minds. We'll see. But at the end of the day, please keep us apprised what's happening in this body. As I don't think there's a district that doesn't have some level of impact. So I think we should make sure everybody knows what's going on.
Certainly will.
And I would like if you could share with us what you have to this point. So our counsel, either Mr. Miles or Mr. Kleins, or Ms. Capers will be communicating with the county attorney's office, because we all want to know what's going on, and we're very concerned.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Legislator Walker, then Legislator Ford.
I totally agree with Legislator Bino, and I just wanted to check. I know you mentioned specifically town of Hempstead. You mentioned already in Farmingdale and a few other areas.
Island Park.
Island Park. Now, what about the town of Oyster Bay? What about the town of North Hempstead? It would involve everyone.
No, Nassau County is a local administrator for New York State. All the other Section 8 areas, like the Villages and North Hempstead, Oyster Bay doesn't have a Section 8 program. We absorbed the Oyster Bay. Yes, not Oyster Bay, Island Park and Farmingdale. Wait, Oyster Bay as well.
But the county has vouchers in every one of those towns, and
Yes, we do. We have vouchers.
Right, so that's what I'm.
Because it's a housing choice voucher, so when we administer the voucher, we give you the voucher, you have to find your housing
Right.
somewhere in Nassau County unless you pour it out into another area.
Right, so it would affect those.
Oh, it will affect every
basically
single one of the
every
districts
single-
here.
Every single part of
Every
Nassau County.
legislative district will be affected by it,
Right.
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, I'm raising some concerns as well. So the CDC, though, in LI, they administer the Section 8 vouchers in Suffolk County?
Nassau County is the only municipal government that has a Section 8 program, so CDCLI administers Suffolk County's vouchers.
Okay, and I think, if my memory serves me, they might be trying to like take over Long Beaches as well. I'm trying to remember, there was like some, yeah.
Long Beach has a housing authority, so
Right.
they're administered directly through HUD.
Right.
Where we are passed through New York State.
Right. So then, just to follow up, and Legislator Bino did ask a lot of extensive questions, and thank you very much. Okay, so that even once if it goes to CDC, then do they have to hire their own inspectors? Because I know normally when somebody is going to move into to an apartment with a Section 8 voucher,
We have to inspect the apartment before.
So we will not be doing that anymore. It'll be up to CDC.
Yes. There's housing inspectors are under the Office of Housing. They are certified and licensed on lead base and housing quality standard. They have certifications in both, and in order for someone to move in, they have to pass that housing inspection.
All right, I share your concern because I think the CDCLI does have a lot of their hands in a lot of different programs and whatever, and I do fear that this might be a detriment to the residents that have Section 8 vouchers. All right, thank you.
And that's all we concentrate on. It's just the inspections, housing.
And we know that, and you do a very good job.
Thank you very much.
Taking care of our residents. Thank you.
I hope we can continue to take care of the residents of Nassau County.
I'm with you on that.
Thank you.
Legislator Rhodes.
Yeah, that might be. This is more of a statement. I mean, this may be something, and I know Legislator Bino had indicated that they're writing a letter to the state to ask them in support of the appeal. I mean, that may be something that we want to do jointly as a legislature to support that. And what would if we wind up losing this contract? Ultimately, what's the impact upon not just the services that we provide? Obviously, we've heard about that. What's the impact upon your office specifically?
Talk about.
Chris Lemoyne from the administration. Yeah, it definitely could have an impact on the office, and we're trying to, come up with contingency plans if, the appeal doesn't work and if our conversations with the state, are fruitless.
By the way, are there specific grounds for the appeal? In other words, not what you're planning on arguing, but are there criteria that have to be met to support an appeal?
I'll defer to the county attorney.
Yeah, arbitrary and capricious. I mean, what's the standard?
The standard is arbitrary and capricious because it is an administrative decision, and honestly, it's very difficult to overcome an administrative decision.
Can you provide us with a copy of your appeal once it's filed?
Certainly.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
And I put this question to the side to deal with, the actual RFP issue. So, why are we moving this? Tell us about this item connected to where we stand currently.
I'm going to defer that to Andy Parrish.
Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, Andy Persic, Office of Management and Budget. We need to keep this item, to move this item, because we have people in place who are actually on the budget of HI 83 or HI 85, that program. If we don't move the item, which I think what I'm hearing too is going to be a longer process in the transition period, we'd have to start shuffling around payrolls and everything else. And I think in the interest of consistency, till we have finality on the decision, I think it's best to move the item, whether we get all the money, will we get portions of the money that we're appropriating as a result of the reimbursement as we continue to administer the plan until we transition it, which from what I'm thinking probably could be 6 months to a year from now. So, because I don't think we're going to turn the switch as fast as the state might think of April 30th. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you all. All right, so all in favor of item 7, ordinance 19, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
It carries unanimously. I'm going to recuse myself for the next item, which is 12.
All right. Item 12 is a resolution authorizing the county attorney to compromise and settle the claims of plaintiff. The action entitled Morahan against the County of Nassau, pursuant to the county government law of Nassau County and Nassau County Administrative Code. That item is moved by Legislator Schaefer, seconded by Legislator Drury Whitman. The record should note that Presiding Officer Richard Nicolello has recused himself from this matter. He has left the chamber, has not participated in any debate or discussion. Having said that, is there any debate or discussion among the legislators? All those in favor of this item? Please note that Josh Lafazan is here. I do that good? Good, okay. All those in favor of this, of item 12, please so indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item is passed, any one abstention. Okay. Okay, could somebody invite the presiding officer to come back?
The item 14, resolution number 37. It's a resolution ceremonially designating a body of water in Silver Lake Park as Caroline's Pond and directing the Department of Public Works to install conspicuous signage. Moved by Legislator Muley, seconded by Legislator Drucker. That's before us.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I first became aware of Caroline's Pond when I first became a legislator, and we were discussing the renovation of Silver Lake under the GOSER program. And as far as I knew, it was always called Caroline's Pond. But apparently, officially, it was not, even though in all of the plans that I saw provided by the state, it was designated as such. And then one of my constituents, Marguerite Keller, came to me and said she would like to have it officially designated as such, and gave her reasons, and I'm actually going to allow her to say what those reasons are. But I think it is the right thing to do, and it is supported by the community. So, Presiding Officer, if it's okay, can I call up Ms. Keller? Ms. Keller?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Marguerite Grazing Keller, and I've been a resident of Baldwin for over 50 years. I'm here on behalf of the family and friends of Caroline McCann. First, I'd like to thank my legislator, Deborah Muley, for spearheading this effort, and the Baldwin Civic Association for getting behind it also, and for the entire county legislature for entertaining this. I can't believe that we've actually gotten to this point, and it's becoming a reality. Years back, I Googled the area where I live in Baldwin, and I was pleasantly surprised to see Caroline's Pond labeled by Google. So I figured, oh, something happened in the background, it must be official. Then a few years after that, I received the state's paperwork on the drainage improvement that's being done on the Silver Lake and Lofts Pond area. And I noticed in the paperwork it said references to Caroline's Pond numerous times, and I believe it was HUD was involved in, the federal government was involved in this also. It was their stamp of approval. So I know that the state has no idea why that body of water is called Caroline's Pond. I know they don't, but I do, because I was there 32 years ago almost, when we planted a tree in her memory in a spot that she enjoyed going to as a child, as a teenager, in her early teens, in her early 20s. She was a sun worshiper. Her aunt and uncle lived in the house that was right there by the pond, overlooked the pond, and her sunscreen back then was baby oil, and she would lay back there for hours upon hours, and I would be with her, and honestly, all I saw was dirt and bugs, and it was gross to me. But she saw the beauty of that park and that pond, and if you grew up in my area, you lived in those parks that were by us. Whether it was in the summertime when we had playground equipment in the park, or if it was in the wintertime, we were sledding in one part of Silver Lake or ice skating on Lofts Lake. It was always activity, and this girl, Caroline McCann, who unfortunately passed away at the age of 27, just 3 months shy of her birthday, she spent countless hours there, countless days. And so her family and friends are very supportive and are looking forward to the official naming of Caroline's Pond. And I thank you so much for doing this.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Is there any discussion or more debate? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed? Carries unanimously. Legislator Coppell.
I became aware that that a good friend of I believe everyone here on this dais just celebrated 5 years after having survived a brain aneurysm and surgery, and Maurice, you're, as I say, you're a good friend to everyone here. You do wonderful work for the legislature. I think that hopefully I speak for everyone when I say that we're all lucky to have you, and we're glad that that things are looking great for you and for your family.
Thank you. Very good. All right. Motion to adjourn, Legislator Rhodes. Seconded by Legislator DeRizzi Whitten. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
Report.